Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 175 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of November the 9th through the 15th, 2020. My name is Tim Beeman.
My name's Ray Morgan.
And we're opening the recipe box. We are recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios South, a.k.a. my house. We are practicing social distancing and using Zoom, sponsored by Bull's Tavern. And Leah is taking care of her wife, so that's why she's off today. Had a little procedure, and it should all come out in the end. So, yeah. But I think this will. I think no, it's a good thing. Everything's okay, I believe. So, in this business, news comes in after we record our podcast, as we have seen many times over the last little bit, and last week was no exception. Last Monday, after our podcast had come out, Organics Juice Bar announced that they were closing both Winston and Greensboro locations permanently, only a week or so after announcing Cafe Veridu's closing. You know, I talked about us having George on the show to talk about Cafe Veridu last year, and we talked briefly about Organics Juice Bar. Again, George and his wife.
I remember having him on. He was a dynamic guest.
Oh, yeah. George and his wife, Jen, are creative, resourceful folks. They had 3 locations going before COVID, and I have no doubt that something else could be in the works soon. I don't know what that is, but I can't wait to see, hear, and talk about whatever it is. With that
Sounds
closing,
like we need to get them back in as a guest.
Yeah, we do. As soon as we figure out what they're doing, or as soon as they figure out what they're doing. And with that closing, that also means that Let It Grow Produce will now have to look for a new location, as they cohabited the space with Organics there in Ardmore. Excuse me. I talked with Rebecca Zolikoffer this morning, and she said that they had several places to look at. So that's a good positive sign. They also plan to keep going, doing delivery only through the winter. So that's they don't have to worry about it right away. I think they still do stuff with the Cobblestone Farmers Market, because I think that Becky and Margaret are friends. So I think they are involved over there somehow. So. Yeah, and I also saw that Nathan Pitts, who owns, I don't have this written down, so I'm making this up. I'm not making it up, but I'm pulling it off the top of my head. Nathan Pitts, who owns Shore Farm Organics, the windstorm last week pretty much destroyed his family farm as far as the greenhouses and the shops and all that stuff go. But I believe he's planning on persevering through and doing whatever he can. You know, Nathan's a good guy. He does a lot of stuff with local restaurants, and it would be a big loss for the restaurants and the community if he's not able to produce his fare. So Nathan here's hoping that you get it all worked out. I saw someone post on his page, hey, you know, there's a lot of high schoolers out there that need some extra credit, and and some volunteer hours. You know, they need some volunteer hours. So that's a good way of getting some of your stuff cleaned up. I announced a few weeks back that the Delicios had gotten into the Wake Forest University Baptist Hospital for their Grab and Go program. Apparently, that was going really, really well, because now they're in the High Point Hospital that's owned by Wake Forest, what used to be known as High Point Regional. Maria called me and told me the good news late last week. She goes, just good news. I wanted to share it, and that is good news. So that program's going well for them. absolutely. So 2 hospitals that they deliver to daily, or at least Monday through Friday. And
I mean, you're basically talking a guaranteed income for the restaurant. What a blessing.
oh yeah, absolutely. They are. She was very, very happy, and I was very, very happy for them. Cugino Forno has opened their Clemens location. It's located at 6316 Clemens Point Drive. And looking that up, I believe that's in the same area that Island Cuisine and Mossy's and the Dario over there. It's in that same shopping area. It's grown up a lot because I remember I had an insurance guy that was over there, and it was like three or four things in this. A lot of buildings up, but nothing in there. And I believe I might know one of the owners of or former, or could be current owner still, of that little complex. So hopefully they've been able to, if that was them, that they were able to keep all the revenue and stuff coming in. That would be good. So yeah, Clemens now has their own Cugino Forno to go along with the one, I believe, in High Point, and the one
Yay for Clemens.
one here in Winston. This may not sound like it means a lot, but Grecian Corner repaved their parking lot last week. That parking lot was kind of a treacherous obstacle course to get in and out of, not only because of the weird street that they're on, but because it was a bit holy, and I'm not talking about a good Sunday thing. I'm talking just, it was just rough, and I think it's good for them. You know, they've been trying to build everything back up and get back open, and
They had what I called Honda eating holes.
Honda eating holes. They ate the Hondas.
Yeah. If I wasn't careful, it would eat my Honda.
So yeah, that's good. They are sprucing everything up over there, and I think they get forgotten because of where they are, because it is in kind of a little dead zone. There's a little mini mart there. You know, Uncle Buzzy's was there, and that's, you know, one of those sore spots for me in the First Street Draft House. And then that Hardee's across the way.
Good memories from down there.
Yeah. But the Hardee's and the mini mart really are the only thing left in that
We
little.
know what sustains Grecian Corner. It's not just the regulars coming in from everywhere else. It's Baptist Hospital.
Oh yeah, which is surprising that, again, Uncle Buzzy's and First Street couldn't maintain, because they were right there. Then again, you know, Buzzy's had that reputation. We talked about it when they closed. Had the reputation of being junk food, you know, fair food crap, and hospital people don't normally go for that. Even though that's not what it was. That was just the reputation that they got because of the way they decided to market it at the beginning. And I believe Dave Hillman talked about that. But yeah, good for Grecian Corner.
Yeah, missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah.
Good.
JJ's
Good to see
Cuban.
so many places taking the pause and doing something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a good thing, I think. And it's really good food there. I mean, it's standard Greek fare, but you know, you have a little bit of Italian and a little bit of all the Mediterranean things. Some northern and southern Mediterranean food. So yeah, go get you some. JJ's Cuban Kitchen, who does right now only pre-order prepared meals. our friend Jeff Davids is a huge fan of them. He has now purchased the former Ground Burger trailer from out of Lexington and hopes to have the JJ's Cuban Kitchen truck finally ready to roll by December. I think that's a large order, but you know, he acts like it's just a matter of inspection and he'd be ready to go, and that'd be good. So, you know, I am a fan of food trucks, and we need them. I know Mojito is going to change their direction for their truck anyway, and while it is Cuban, you know, I think there needs to be a mobile one, and I think it'll be good for JJ's Cuban Kitchen because Jeff Davids raves about them, and I think our friend Tamika is also friends with them, so I think that's good. Get some good people following some good food.
We seem to be stuttering a little bit.
Yeah.
Our internet connection is not entirely stable. I'm not sure, but I think it's on my end.
Okay. Yeah, you were a while ago a little bit choppy, but I think we're all right. You hear me now? Can you hear me now? Or are you just being quiet?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
We've been kind of stepping on each other just because it's doing weird things on my end.
Okay.
Consistently, you're delayed.
Okay.
So I think it's fine.
Okay. Well, we'll just cram through. Well, that's all I have, and Leah's not here. I followed her on. I did her side of the list today so she could concentrate on Mel. Really not a whole lot going on over there, so I'm right now under the assumption that no news is good news, because when we do hear things, sometimes it's places have closed. So I'm going to on the assumption that we are okay right now.
Well, we did have one big thing that happened since the last time we did this.
Oh, yes. Yes, we did.
One. Just, one thing.
One little minor thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
the
right.
Newscasters talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
A minute.
I've already talked about it. Grecian Corner, they repaved their parking lot.
You're right. How did I miss that?
No. Congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris for a deep, fresh air breath of, no matter what your politics are, at least we're not going to be slammed with vitriol.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I'm most happy that we won't have to deal with the vitriol, at least on a presidential level.
Right. Did you see the speech that he and Kamala gave on Saturday night?
I did.
What a great presidential speech,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I don't see red states and blue states. I see United States. It's time for us to heal, to come together. I appreciate that, yes, we've got this to look forward to. A president that actually respects the office and, oddly enough, respects Americans.
Yes. Yes. Instead of just himself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Trump supporter, you're still my friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're a Biden supporter, you're still my friend.
He said it. When did my opponent become my enemy? You're just my opponent. It doesn't mean that we're enemies. It just means we're on different sides of the issue. And it is okay to have an honest disagreement. Yeah. Honest disagreements people can work through.
Yeah, discourse is fine.
We can find a place.
Discourse is fine.
It can really be.
Yeah. Discord is a different thing.
Yes. And common solutions often work.
Yeah. Compromise.
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. when everybody feels like they're getting a little something out of it and we're still moving forward, that's what we call progress.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's do some food holidays in history.
What's going on?
Today is the 9th of November, and it is National Scrapple Day. Scrapple is a Pennsylvania Dutch specialty of chopped or ground pork and cornmeal mush, cooked and shaped in a loaf pan, cooled, then sliced and browned in butter to serve. And so we know Pennsylvania Dutch doesn't mean that it's Dutch at all. It's a bastardization of the word Deutsch, so it's actually more German than Dutch. But yeah, so I have never, exactly. I have never had Scrapple. To me, what I'm listening to here, it sounds like meatloaf
Or Spam. Yeah, something in that range.
Yeah, I've never had it, so I don't really know.
If anybody knows of a good local place where they serve Scrapple, let us know. Let's go track it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it could be tasty.
Yeah, so it's also known as panhas or pan rabbit. It is traditionally, again, a mush of pork scraps and trimmings combined with cornmeal and wheat flour, often buckwheat flour and spices. It's formed into a semi-solid congealed loaf, and their slices are pan-fried before serving. So it is like meatloaf meets Spam, or, you know, like I've said before, the cheaper version that I grew up with, Treat.
Yeah, I remember Treat.
So, looking at the pictures, kind of looks like a liver mush, or liver pudding, or like Denise's sausage or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not from Pennsylvania, so I don't know.
I'm not either.
So I don't know
Been there
that much
once.
about. I know that I've heard friends from there talk about it, but I don't remember if they said they liked it or not.
Yeah, the only time that I've been in Pennsylvania, I went to visit with a friend of mine in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That was not on our list of things to experience in Pittsburgh. He never brought it up.
Yeah, no. No.
But it's got its own day. So glad.
Well, you know, we're kind of in the, and they may make this, I don't know. I know they make Spam that we just alluded to, but on this day in 1891, George A. Hormel opened his packing house in Austin, Minnesota. So the company that makes Spam started today, 129 years ago.
Makes you wonder if there's a connection.
You wonder. There might be. That's why, you know, after I wrote that, I didn't really think about it. So, I don't know. I have to research. On this day in 1911, Georges Claude of Paris, France, applied for a patent for an electric neon sign. It was issued on January 19th, 1915, but he applied today in 1911.
A long time to get that patent.
Yeah, it did. In 1916, California Packing Company, or CalPac, was created with the merger of 5 major canning enterprises, consolidating control over canning, drying, packing houses, brokers, and farmers in California and the West. In 1961, during lunchtime on this date, Brian Epstein heard the Beatles for the first time at the Cavern in Liverpool. I didn't know they did matinee shows like during lunch.
Yeah. Kind of odd, right?
It is.
Generally, you go see a band at night.
Yeah.
At least the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, now that I think about it, I've seen like places for like brunch or things having musicians in playing like instrumental jazzy things, but that, you know, again, this was the 60s, so
Yeah, it's a little different.
yeah. On the 9th in 1983, Alfred Heineken, president of Heineken, was kidnapped. He was freed on November the 30th after a ransom was paid of over $20 million. The kidnappers were eventually caught. So,
Craziness.
yeah, I never understood the ransom thing. I mean, especially somebody like that, big name people, because you know they're going to find where you were and who you are. That's just silly.
Can afford to throw more resources at it than the police can.
Yeah.
They'll find you.
I don't get it. On the 10th, it is National Vanilla Cupcake Day. If I'm going to have a cupcake, I would prefer vanilla over. I would prefer vanilla over chocolate, but that's okay.
You love vanilla.
I do. In 1847, on the 10th, Carlsberg Brewery in Denmark began production of its first brew. I am a fan of Carlsberg beer, even though it's basically the Budweiser of Denmark. It's still enjoyable to me. In 1891...
Even their version of Budweiser is better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most certainly. In 1891, on the 10th, the first convention of the World Women's Christian Temperance Union began in Boston. The organization's primary goal was to promote total abstinence from alcohol. Again, mind your own damn business.
That worked.
Yeah. Mind your own damn business. On the 10th in 1951, as of this day in history, you can call from New York and make a reservation for dinner at California Restaurant without operator assistance because coast-to-coast direct dialing began. I figure in 1951 it's still hard to get a reservation in California if you were in New York because you would need probably a week to get there. Even flying, you were going to take a long time. It was not like it is today.
Yeah, you didn't hop in your Learjet, get there in a couple hours.
No, you didn't. Tomorrow, the 10th, in 1969, tomorrow is the anniversary of Sesame Street. It debuted with Cookie Monster, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, and many more characters on the 10th of November, 1969.
Love me some Sesame Street.
Yep.
You know, there's some things that when you do it really well, kids programming transcends the age.
Oh, yeah.
And granted, there's a whole bunch of Sesame Street stuff that would just drive us insane today, you know, watching them learn the ABCs. No, I'm not real interested. But on the whole, you know, they did such a good job with it. And then, of course, all of the Muppets that grew out from that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite Muppet? Probably.
Favorite Sesame Street.
Favorite Sesame Street Muppet?
Yeah.
Probably.
We'll be specific.
Probably Grover. Although I have always had a special place in my heart for Oscar the Grouch.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I always loved Oscar.
I do too. I think it's great.
He had a heart of gold.
He did. And he loves trash. Oh, I love trash. Anything dingy or dirty or dusty. Yeah.
And then, of course, one of my favorite songs from Sesame Street, C is for Cookie.
C is for Cookie. That's good enough for me.
There you go.
Well, my thing
Cookie Monster.
with Grover is, I'm like, I'll go real close. Near. Far. Near. Far. Yeah.
Yeah. Love missing Sesame Street.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man.
Thank you.
I still
Yeah.
love seeing. I still love hearing that. It's not Sesame Street, but also anytime that I get a chance to watch Mr. Rogers, because it's on Hulu and YouTube and all that stuff, I still watch it. I even had my son even watched some of it the other day. I say the other day. It was about a year ago, but he sat down and it was on. And he's like, "Let's watch another." I said, "Okay, let's watch another." Okay,
Sure.
yeah.
No,
That
you
whole-
could.
That whole like you to be my neighbor, but
Sure.
sure. He was just great, and he didn't take no crap either. You know, the PMRC and all that stuff, and when they were getting ready to take down funding for public television, and he went up there and basically ripped them all a new butthole without once raising his voice in kindness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
With amazing words.
yes.
Yeah, I've got so much respect for him and the way he approached life, the way he approached teaching children.
Mm-hmm.
He gave them an ethical set of standards, how we should interact with each other. Loved it. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to see the movie that Tom Hanks did playing him.
I heard it was real good.
That's
I
what I
too
heard,
have
too.
that on my list.
Yeah. On the 10th, the last thing I have for the 10th in 1974, there was the discovery of the charmed quark, a subatomic particle. I just think that's funny name, charmed quark.
For a moment there, I thought you were trying to mix Charmed and Star Trek, and I was like, "What?"
Charmed track. Charmed quark.
You know, Quark from DS9.
Oh, I don't know that one. I know
Okay,
I know the original series, I know Next Generation, I know the movies, new and old. But I don't know the Deep Space Nine, the Voyager, or anything like that.
You do not qualify as a Trekker. Do
No.
not ever claim that title.
No, I don't. And I won't.
Yes, there was a character in Deep Space Nine named Quark who ran the bar in the space station.
Okay.
He was a Ferengi and was always doing something underhanded, not legal.
That's how Ferengis are, man. You gotta-
Yeah, but then, you know, you found out even Quark had a heart of gold, just like Oscar. See how we tied that right back around,
Yes.
back into the storyline.
Yes.
So what happened on the 11th?
The 11th this year is of every year is Veterans Day or Armistice Day. And even though it's on a Wednesday this year, it's also National Sundae Day. Sunday as in
Like
ice cream sundaes. On the 11th in 1790, chrysanthemums were introduced to England from China. Both the greens and blossoms are edible and are particularly popular in Japan, China, and Vietnam.
I did not know that.
I didn't either. I mean, I'm sure we talked about it last year, but I didn't remember it until then.
Yeah, I didn't remember it either.
On
There's
the-
a reason why we touch on them every year.
That's right. That and we have new listeners. On the 11th in 1933, the first great dust storm occurred on the Great Plains. The black blizzard buried roads and vehicles from Texas to Canada under drifts as deep as 6 feet.
That's a lot of dust.
It is. On the 11th in 2006, a Hong Kong real estate tycoon and his wife paid $160,000 for a 3.3 pound Italian Alba white truffle.
A lot of money for a truffle.
A 3 pound truffle. I wonder what they used it for. I wonder if they had a chef that made something special. Could you imagine being that chef?
This ingredient cost $160,000. No pressure.
No pressure at all. I got this. Put it on a
Oh,
sandwich.
crap is the last thing you want to hear.
Yeah. I'll put it on a sandwich.
Yeah.
No, this we talked about. I remember talking about this last year. I don't remember what we said. Is just in our frivolous or very specific days and holidays and things. The 12th is National Pizza with the Works, except Anchovies Day. National
You know, if I'm
Pizza
gonna
with
have
the
the
Works,
works-
except Anchovies Day.
If I'm going to have the works, it would be without the anchovies.
I am a fan of shit pizza, meaning I like pizza with a lot of shit on it. I don't mind anchovies. It's not my favorite thing. It's not something I go for. It's not something I have put on a pizza. But if it so happens to have anchovies on it, I will not eat it.
You wouldn't pick those off.
No. I actually one time ordered some specifically just to see what, because you can order them on the side of some places. I said, just put some in a little container, and I had one, and it was very salty, very fishy. But I think it works if you're in the mood for it. It works with the other salty meats and cheeses and things that you have on your pizza. I'm not opposed to the anchovy. I just don't go looking for it. Hey, can you give me some extra anchovies, please? No.
Well, the fact that it looks back at me makes me not want to go looking for it.
So how are you with sardines? Do you eat sardines?
No.
I've never had one. I don't know.
No.
I have a friend.
Yeah, fish, yes.
Yeah, I have a friend who will actually buy sardines and crank the can open and eat them.
Just eat 'em.
Eat them straight out of the can. I've heard of it. I've never seen anybody do it, but I've heard other people talk about it. I'm okay not doing it. I'm good.
I'm afraid to double dog dare you, because then you would.
Yeah, no, please don't. Please don't double dog dare. The 12th is also.
Damn it, I'll have to do it. Don't,
Yeah,
please don't.
yeah.
For the love of everything, holy, don't.
It's also International Tempranillo Day. It's always
That's
the
a
second Tempranillo. It's the second Thursday of November every year. It's a black grape variety native to Spain and used in the Great Rioja and Ribera del Duero wines. It is now the third most widely planted wine grape variety worldwide.
I did not know that.
I had never, other than this show, I had never heard of it. It's also on the
Me too.
12th. Yep, it's also Chicken Soup for the Soul Day, and something we will never see in this state as long as certain people are in control. And that's not a political statement; it's more of a societal statement. But it's Happy Hour Day. We are not allowed to have happy hour in this state because it promotes
drinking.
It promotes alcoholism because people are rushing to get as much as they can for cheap, and that's not how it works. But that's the way it's portrayed, and most responsible drinkers do not drink that way. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink the same amount of alcohol no matter how much I'm paying for it. I don't care if it's $1 cheaper, because usually happy hour means it's about $1, maybe $2 cheaper. That's not going to make me slam them down. I want to enjoy all of them, not just the first two.
Right.
Because my mind and my tongue would be numb right after that. And what good is that going to do?
I used to live in Florida. I was born there, and we had happy hour in Florida. They still do.
Yep.
It's just not an issue.
It's while it is a political thing, it's not necessarily a left or right thing. It's like I said, societal thing, and we are in the Bible Belt, and religion, or at least religious factions, do control a lot of what happens here because of that. So I'm not talking badly about religion or politics there. I'm just saying that they kind of are bedfellows, not necessarily strange either, when it comes to things like this.
Well, and oddly enough, Scripture doesn't actually teach us that alcohol in and of itself is a bad thing. If it were a truly evil thing, then it would have been impossible for Jesus to have turned water into wine.
And I guarantee you the wine that he made was a lot stronger than the wine we're drinking now.
Well, not only that, but when they took it to the steward, said, "Oh, here's this wine," he's like, Why did you serve all the boxed wine first and now you bring out the good stuff? They're already drunk. They can't tell you brought the good stuff. My goodness, y'all did this backwards. So, yeah, he didn't just make wine. He made the best wine. Now, there are a lot of places in Scripture to talk about our relationship with alcohol. That, having a drink or two, that's fine, but constantly being drunk, okay, now you got a problem.
Yeah.
And that's more the issue.
Well, what I remember of what I remember of the stuff is it's more about poisoning the body than it is, drinking and stuff like that.
Well, in Jesus's day, they drank wine like we drink water, because they didn't have reliable fresh water. They had reliable sources for water, but it was so easy for it to be contaminated. So people tended to drink wine.
Yeah.
It wasn't an issue because everybody drank wine, and you weren't drinking it to get drunk. You were just drinking it to have a beverage.
Right.
But again, when it takes over your life, we recognize that today. When it gets to the point where you can't function anymore without alcohol, then you've got a problem. So, personally, I don't have any issues with there being alcohol out there, it being available, even offering specials. I get it. You get people into the bar, they get a little extra discount on the drink, but they decide to order some appetizers to go with it. Everybody's winning, everybody's having a good time, the merchant's making money, and everybody's safe.
Yeah. And most of the time, happy hour happens directly after work when most people are wanting to go home anyway. So
right.
I just want to go have a drink with my buddy before I go home. So.
And, that works really well. Generally, most of us can have a drink and not be drunk.
Yeah.
Some lightweights, but most of us can.
Yeah.
Most of us can even have a couple, especially if we had something to eat along with it, which is why frequently during happy hour in Florida, you'll find free hors d'oeuvres or appetizers or something that are out for folks too.
Yeah.
I went off on a tear. I'm sorry.
No worries.
What's happening tomorrow?
Well, the 12th, we're still on the 12th. In 1901, National Biscuit Company registered Nabisco trademark, biscuits, crackers, and bread. In 1924, Washburn Crosby Company, which was a predecessor to General Mills, introduced Wheaties breakfast cereal. It was originally called Washburn's Gold Medal Whole Wheat Flakes.
Wow. Glad they shortened that one.
It's funny that items from way back when were always so long. The titles were always so long.
It's a different mindset about how you named your company.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I look at The Man Who Ate the Town. That's kind of long, but it's not the man who ate the town that also did this and was a food blogger and liked to do things. And it's like, this was just way too long. So, I'm to the point. It could have been The Man Who Ate the Town, a food podcast and blog.com, but no, because I think of what do I want to type into the search box? I don't want to type all that in. I struggle with The Man Who Ate the Town. I'm almost tempted to just register TMWATT and just just say, here, type this in it, Tim Watt in here, and go with it.
Yeah, explain Timwat to people. Well, it really stands for the man who ate the town.
Yeah, but then you get into the whole thing. Well, if you have to explain it, then your marketing is not doing what it's supposed to do. So, yeah. On the 12th...
Well, then you get...
Go ahead.
But then you get companies like Nike.
Yeah.
It's 4 letters.
Yes.
Nike.
Yeah. Lucky them. Lucky them. And on the 12th, in 1954, Ellis Island in New York Harbor closed after processing more than 12 million immigrants since its opening in 1892. It's where a lot of our last names came from. Because nobody knew what those immigrants were saying, so they just wrote down whatever they thought they were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people got their names changed as they entered the country.
Yep.
Americanized.
If you want to call it that. In 1974, on the 12th, after more than 125 years, salmon returned to the River Thames in England. However, I don't think I want to eat it from the Thames River. The river's kind of gross. It's like eating fish from the Chicago River or the Hudson River. No, I don't really want that. Thank you. I'll pass.
There's an underground sea, well, like they call it the Lost Sea, in East Tennessee between Knoxville and Chattanooga. And you get down into this lake and they take you out on the water and they start throwing these pellets out, and all these catfish come up and they're all completely white and blind. They've been in there so long, it's kind of the way they've developed. We asked the guy, hey man, are these catfish any good? He said, we're feeding them liver pellets. So let me describe it for you. Take some liver, set it out on your counter for about 3-4 days, cut it up, fry it, eat it. That's what these fish taste like.
Yuck.
Like, okay, thanks. No, we're good. Appreciate it.
On the 13th, it's National Indian Pudding Day. I don't know what that means.
I know what chocolate pudding is.
Yes, you do. You are probably the expert that I would go to if I was going to talk about chocolate pudding.
I could talk about it.
Yeah.
Different varieties, different ways that you do it. Yeah, we're there.
I wonder if they make this with real Indians.
Well, first you get a couple dozen in a pot and you boil them down.
Yeah. Let's see. On 1805, on the 13th, supposedly, Johann Georg Lerner, a German butcher from Frankfurt living in Vienna, Austria, created a beef and pork sausage. He called it the Frankfurter. In Austria and elsewhere, it's called a Wiener. Also, the Wiener Frankfurter and Wienerwurst. In America, it's usually just called a hot dog, which I take exception to. I don't think it's called hot dog here unless it's on the bun. It's just a Wiener or a Frankfurter or whatever you want to call it. A Frankenfurter.
Personally, I prefer bratwurst, but that's me.
Oh yeah, I love me some bratwurst too. I love sausage of almost all kinds. So, so take that however you will. I don't know that it's true, but that's supposedly how it goes. In 1895, the first shipment of canned pineapple left Hawaii on the 13th. In 1933, on the 13th, one of the first sit-down strikes began. It took place at the aforementioned Hormel packing plant in Austin, Minnesota. Are you making no more damn Spam?
No, not without a better price.
Not unless
I want Spam for free.
Yeah, not unless we also make Scrapple. On the 13th in 1946, Vincent Joseph Schaefer produced the first artificial snow from a natural cloud over Mount Greylock in western Massachusetts. At 14,000 feet, an airplane seeded the clouds with small particles of dry ice. Snow fell through the first 3,000 feet, but then evaporated in the dry air before it reached the ground. In the same year, for his movie "It's a Wonderful Life," Frank Capra developed a new method for making fake snow using foamite. That's also used in fire extinguishers, mixed with sugar and water, and some say he used soap flakes too. But so yeah, there you go, a little trivia for you.
Yep, I've heard they use potato flakes sometimes.
Okay, I knew
Makes
the
sense.
soap flakes thing. I didn't know about potato flakes and foamite. That makes sense.
Or you just wait till it snows and then go stand outside.
Yeah, not always practical.
Go to
Though.
Alaska.
Yeah. Let's see. On the 13th in 1832, the John Mason, the first horse-drawn streetcar, was demonstrated to officials in New York City. On the 13th in 1851, Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick was published. Captain Ahab's search for the white whale.
Call me Ishmael.
Call me Ishmael. That's right. In 1889, Nellie Bly, I guess her real name was Elizabeth Jane Cochran, began her successful attempt to beat the record of Jules Verne's fictional Phineas Fogg to go around the world in 80 days. She was a U.S. newspaper reporter and completed the journey in 72 days, 6 hours, 11 minutes, and 14 seconds.
That's a fairly precise time.
Yeah. All right, we're taking off now. And go.
I wonder what it would take you to go around the world now, because it doesn't seem like it would take 72 days to get around the world today.
I don't know.
But
And
are you doing it by car? You're doing it by plane, by boat? How you doing?
well, she did it by air balloon.
Oh, well, fine. Just go that route.
Yeah, because I think that was the thing. It was an air balloon.
You're right. That's okay. I do that a lot.
Yeah. In 1922, on the 13th, the BBC officially began daily radio broadcasting with the 6 p.m. news. In 1960, OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Producing or Exporting Countries, was formed. And on the 15th, it is America Recycles Day, which is ridiculous, but it is America Recycles Day. The reason I say it's
on a
ridiculous.
Sunday.
The reason I say it's ridiculous is because the majority of the stuff that you take your time to separate and put in those blue cans over the brown cans gets dumped in the same damn dump as it would be otherwise. Plus, it takes more resources to make new material, to recycle than it does to make new things. So, just remember when you're being goaded into doing something by your government, there's probably a reason. Just keep that in mind. Speaking of the recycling thing, on the 15th, it's also National Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day. And I don't know what this is, but Spicy Hermit Cookie Day.
Spicy Hermit. So
Cookie.
you take a couple dozen of them and you put them in a pot and you boil them down and your Spicy Hermit becomes the cookie. It's really good.
Okay, let's see here. Foodist.com says this is a wonderfully old-fashioned cookie. Let's see, what's in it? Let me get to the recipe.
Spiced rum.
I don't see rum, but I would say you could probably put there. It's a half cup butter with room temperature, a cup brown sugar packed, 2 large eggs, a half teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 3/4 cups all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of cinnamon, an 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, an 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, a cup of raisins, a cup of chopped dates, and a cup of coarsely chopped walnuts or pecans.
So you're you're just putting enough flour in there to hold all the nuts and raisins together.
Yep, that's nuts.
And then cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice would make an interesting flavor combination. So yeah, that's it. So you're going to make those and have them available for us next week.
Me? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll have it here when you get here. It's also
Watch, I'll show up.
it's I might not. On the 15th, it's also National Raisin Bran Cereal Day and
Yay!
National Bunt Day. BUNDT, not just trying to get on
Like
first.
fun cake.
Yep. On the 15th, in 1660, Asser Levy from Portugal applied for a license to sell kosher meat. He was the first kosher butcher in New Amsterdam, later known as New York City.
New York City.
Every time I hear somebody say New York City, I think of the same thing. In 1904, King Camp
It's
Gillette.
reflex now.
Yeah, it is. King Camp, and the younger people don't even know what that means. In 1904, King Camp Gillette was issued a patent for his disposable razor, and that is Gillette razors. On the 15th, in 1969, the first color TV commercial in Britain was aired for Bird's Eye Peas. And I know I've asked you this before, but in 1969, Dave Thomas opened the first Wendy's old-fashioned hamburger restaurant in downtown Columbus, Ohio. He named it for his 8-year-old daughter, who was named...
Not Wendy.
Not Wendy. Her name was Melinda. But her nickname was Wendy.
There you go.
So there you go. And, you know, I've not had traditional fast food since December 29th, 2014. But I do miss me a good Wendy's single every once in a while.
Yeah.
Actually, a double.
Their chicken sandwich is one of my favorites.
You remember when, back in the 90s, when he said, "Hi, I'm Dave Thomas, and I want a Monterey Ranch chicken sandwich." And that commercial was happening, and it wasn't Dave Thomas until it was Dave Thomas, and then they didn't believe him. I was in a band, and we were playing across from a Wendy's, and I walked in, and I told him, I said, "Hi, I'm Dave Thomas, and I want a Monterey Jack chicken sandwich." And they looked up and said, "You want fries with that?" So the joke was lost on them. They didn't give a shit who I was.
Yeah. So you're Dave, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
I'm Joe.
My name's Joe, and I'll sell you a Monterey Ranch chicken sandwich. Anyway, that's
You want
all.
fries with that?
Yeah, you want fries with that? This is all the food holidays in history for the week. Special thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, talk about the pluses and minuses of anchovies, and figuring out what temprillo is or temprio is, knowing that we may or may not ever want to try scrapple, and yeah, and for reminding us that Wendy was really Melinda, not Matilda. That would have been even worse. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables
That would've
podcast.
been much worse.
Much
You know,
worse.
the movie was Matilda was good. Good.
That's a Roald Dahl book, right, Matilda? Guy that wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and
think so.
James and John Peach.
Yeah.
The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, Beer Dad's Fan Interference, Wheeler's Dog, and Asylum, Tales of the Devereaux Diaries podcast. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episodes on our network website, directory tldpodnetwork.com. You'll find social media links to each one there as well. We are on Apple Podcasts and YouTube Music and Stitcher and Spotify. I think Pandora. I know we're on Amazon Music and Audible now, so give us a listen.
Awesome.
We'd greatly appreciate if you visit our sponsors. Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. This is no chain. This is a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take the communities they serve very seriously, and for us having an awesome, fantastic franchisee like Daniel certainly does not suck. Follow Carrabba's on social media and at carrabbas.com. Our newest sponsor is Mojito Latin Soul Food, located at 723 North Trade Street. Cuban and Latin-inspired dishes from a fantastic family, the Millans, from brilliant ceviche, empanadas, and street corn to Cubano sandwiches, steak sandwiches, the Frita burger, which I had last week, to shrimp and grits, vaca frita and ropa vieja, beer, wine, and soon an ABC license. Mojito Latin Soul Food has your Latino cravings ready for your enjoyment. They do reservations, they do takeout, and they have a rather large outdoor patio. They also, you can order, if you're at Fiddlin' Fish across the way, you can order from the bar. They call it in, and they will deliver it over to you. That's a plus. Check out Mojito Latin Soul Food on Facebook and MojitoLatinSoulFood.com. And I am so glad, as I've said before, to have Michael and Michelle in the Man Who Ate the Town family for our food journey together. The Humblebee shop is located at 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the west end of downtown. You've not had good until you've tasted the treats and goodies that Brittany is whipping up in her shop, be it muffins, cakes, macarons, and more. Many things are vegan and gluten-free as well. The Humblebee shop wants to challenge your perception of scratch made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. For more information, follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit thehumblebeeshop.co.
That's SHOPPE.co.
Washington Perk and Provision Company is located 301 West 4th Street. You can find a little bit of everything at the Perk. Chip Corner, a deli to get your sandwich on the go. They might even have Scrapple, who knows. Local fruits and veggies, meats and dairy, Bingo Bango sodas, Wolfie's Custard, a wall of beer and wine, and more. Washington Perk is better than a convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they are Washington Perk, or at Washington Perk _DTWS on Instagram. This is a reminder to all of our listeners, and it's good practice not just for now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with soap and warm water. Wash for about 20 seconds or more. If you don't know how long that goes, just sing this.
On a hippie trailhead full of zombies, I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. And she said, "Do you come from a land down under? Where women go and men wonder? Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover."
So that's more than 20 seconds, but that will get you some clean hands. Of course, that album came out on November the 9th, 1981, so it is 39 years old today. Also, I saw, Stephanie and I saw Colin Hay in concert on her birthday in 2011, I want to say, in Charlotte. It was an acoustic show, just him. He puts on a fantastic show, and his voice sounds just as strong. I mean, it sounds older, but it sounds just as strong as it did back then. So, yeah, so for those of you old enough to remember that song when it was a top hit on the radio, or Who Can It Be Now, or Be Good Johnny, the other ones that are on there that were singles, you know, here's your I feel damn old moment. So there you go.
Yeah, thanks. I was in high school in 81.
Yeah. I was in elementary school. I believe 81, I would have been 5th grade. Yeah. 5th grade.
Shut your mouth.
Well, keep an eye on my blog and podcast to find out more about the food news and happenings around town. If you have food news that you don't hear me talk about and think that I need to know, or can make a blog post about, or whatever that can perpetuate the knowledge of the food people in this town, send an email to either Tim or Ray or Leah at themanwhoatethetown.com. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. I'm thinking of our current president still. Like us on Facebook, on Twitter, we are Man Who Number 8 the Town. On Instagram, we are Man Who 8 the Town. And now we invite you to call and leave a voicemail on for the podcast or any other podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422 NUM. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422 NUM. It's 6862. Well, we can't wait to have Leah back next week, although this was pretty quick. We went through it pretty quick, Ray. We didn't have a guest either, so that kind of cut it down too.
It does make a difference.
So, all right. Well, my name is Tim.
My name's Ray.
And we're closing the recipe box. And that was loud. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit.
Yamas.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.